finally time to check out Ari Aster's fourth film. We've had Midsummer, we've had Hereditary, we've had Beau is Afraid, and if you're unlucky, you've had The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. I have covered every single film of his on my channel, so I feel very strange if I don't cover this film today, even though it is considered a dark comedy, drama, western. I honestly don't know too much more because I want to go in blind, but I do think that his films are usually pretty genre bending, and he even said himself that he doesn't consider Hereditary as a horror, more of a family drama. So that is why you're coming along with me today to go see Eddington. This takes place in May of 2020, where there's a standoff between a small town sheriff and a mayor, which sparks an explosive situation in Edington, New Mexico. We have Emma Stone, Joaquin Phoenix, and of course Pedro Pascal in this one, and I hope he's gonna make us more uncomfortable than ever. I just have no idea how he's gonna do it this time. And I do think there is something to say about the time this is set in, 2020, global pandemic. I think the messaging on this one is gonna be quite polarizing, and I'm not gonna do any more lead-in. I wanna go in blind. I have not watched the trailer, I have only seen the poster, and I'm so excited to take you to go see the new film. It's playing at a film festival here, and I'm just so excited to see what is next for Ari Aster and does it live up to his resume. Spoiler free, so you can decide how hyped you're gonna be for Eddington. Let's go to the cinema and check it out. Look. I think this is the first time I've actually been speechless, and I'm not joking, I'm not putting it on. Calling that film a contemporary western is the best explanation. The film, as I said, is set in 2020, and I thought it was going to be around the pandemic, but it's around all events, everything that was going on globally during that time. And it's a very heavy movie, but it's Ari Aster. So he does it in his stylization and makes you very uncomfortable, but rightfully so, because that film is like a time capsule for a time I don't think we've forgotten, but that's just changed the world in so many different ways through so many different layers. And if I'm coming on strong, so does the film. So I think this is why I do what I do, setting up expectations, because instead of going to the movie for escapism, which all of these other films for me are escapism, especially Beau is Afraid. So this film was the opposite of what I usually go to the cinema for. I usually love to go and escape my world and see, not that there isn't other perspectives, because there's definitely other perspectives in this film, but to see other perspectives and to, empathize and feel another character's story. This movie is so blatant and does not beat around the bush. It's clear, it's messy, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this film, but I know it's not for everyone. This is a very heavy subject matter, especially now. It's just it's very intense, obviously, with so many things going on in the world. Politically, with human rights, and this film really sends you back 5 years and makes you look at it in excruciating detail, but through the lens of a very small town and how they dealt with this and how it got so messy and all of the layers got involved. And I can tell you right now, I have not seen the trailer, but I can promise you it goes for 2.5 hours, and there was not one moment where I knew what was going to happen next. It was a bizarre ride, and the journey it goes on, I would say, is more structured like Beau is Afraid. Beau is Afraid, I don't really want to compare them to his other films, but this film is unique in such a certain way that you can only compare it to his style. And although Beau is Afraid is surrealism, this movie is realism. I didn't think it was going to be based... It's so strange to see a film that is only a couple of years back and really brings up so many different elements of what was going on. And not that these things have been forgotten, but it's just such a start and a spark of so many things changing. You go through the journey with the characters like Beau is Afraid, where it just starts somewhere and ends somewhere completely different. Obviously, it is all inside a town this time, but I could not have predicted the layers and the things that they would have brought up and the different ways they've done it. You are laughing one moment, then you're feeling very uncomfortable, and then pure silence. I had the best screening there. I was so glad. For his other films, I feel like people have been talking through them, people have been laughing, and of course people were laughing in this. It is a dark comedy, and I would say dark comedy drama, but the crowd was really feeding out of his hand, the director's hand, or I guess just the film's hand, and the tension in it, I could compare it to Warfare. It's not as violent as Warfare, but it does have its moments, and in those moments it is surprising and it is shocking, and just the tension, the way I could just feel myself letting out sighs as things kept happening. I jumped a couple of times. It is such a strange mix of emotions, and I think it's a really good opportunity, if you have it within yourself, to watch a very demanding movie that is very confronting, to go out and see it in the cinema. This is one you have to see in the cinema. It will make all of the difference and really suck you in. People were laughing, people were gasping, and you could hear a pin drop. I will say though as well, you have to reserve your judgment until the end and see the film as a whole. I think that it gets very strange trying to figure out what perspective and what they're trying to say with the scripting and the story and all of the different characters, but I think it should be seen as a whole piece of work, and I honestly will be thinking about this film for days. I do with all of his films, but this one feels different because we lived through this time and it just has such different layers and ideas behind it. But I really do look at it as a haunting time capsule. It's funny, it's sad, it's startling, and it's intense. This is not an easy watch by any means. But that's what Ari Aster does. That is his whole MO. He doesn't want you to feel comfortable, and he has found a topic that he knows people feel very strongly about, either way, which way, every single side of it. This is definitely his most controversial film thus far, and I think the most uncomfortable for a lot of audiences. The idea of this being a modern Western also makes so much sense because the weapons that are used aren't the stereotypical ones, and I'm kind of glad it wasn't so literal in that way. There are hints to the stylization mocking Westerns almost, but in the modern day, and I liked that it didn't go too far with that, because at the start that's really what I thought it was going to be. The setup at the very start, I thought it was going to be all about that. I guess we should talk about cinematography while we're here. I think that this is the less kind of flashy of his films so far. I said I wasn't going to compare, but because it's a longer film, they really took their time and waited to get into any tricky or flashy movements with the camera, dollies. I mean, there was something at the start where it kind of tilted, but as it goes on, it kind of changes and morphs. Not so much, but you can just see more interesting techniques coming out, especially during the tension moments when you're following people, tracking people throughout different situations. That's when all of that comes into play. And as Ari does, he has some music that very much marries and I feel like has certain meanings. I really love that he always incorporates music and pop culture into his films, and I think that this film, it makes more sense than any of his films, because obviously, again, it's set in our Earth and our time, so it felt really appropriate this time, which was very odd. But I don't think that this one overcomplicated anything in terms of its stylization, which again is very opposite to Beau, because Beau was all about this surrealism. This time he's flipped it on its head and gone with something completely else. I do love that every one of his films are so different, and I felt like this was kind of genius in the way that no one has done a story that encapsulates that time in such despair and I'm trying to think of nice words to say about humankind. I don't think I have any. But it really captures humankind and the mess we have made, and follows such a strange story throughout it, where it kind of touches on everything in a very interesting way. It's almost following a character who somehow has a brush with so much things going on in America during that time. I think it's really interesting when you consider how much the actors would have to trust the director when making a film like this that is such, I don't want to say touchy subject, but so close to everything and everybody, and how they're going to portray it. But I do think people are going to take it mixed ways, which should be really interesting to see the fallout from that. But in terms of the performances, Joaquin Phoenix is amazing, but I think Austin Butler will really surprise me in this. Not because his character isn't something that I think he would play, but he was very I almost wanted to know more about his character. I think that the story took over so much that the performances weren't over the top at all, but it is pretty demanding on Phoenix, which of course his last film with Aster was as well. So I don't think it was more demanding than that by any means, but he definitely had to tug into some anxieties, and it worked really well. He's so great. As I said, the film is 2 hours and 30 minutes, but it is a long journey, and I think it needs it to really unwind all of the levels because it's taking on a lot of content. There's a lot going on in this film and a lot to unpack. At the start, I thought it was just going to be about this sheriff kind of having a standoff, but it really turns into a whole unraveling twisted story with multiple layers. But I guess the better way of saying that is that the pacing of the film is perfect. It pulls you through in all of the right moments. I didn't really feel any pauses or really think about the time. It's a thinker. I think people are going to be breaking this one down for a very long time, but I do think this is not a lot of people's cup of tea. I do want to say, once again, if you're not looking for a heavy watch, maybe give this one a miss, but if you are interested at all, you like his filmmaking style, you like confronting films, and you're ready to go in there with an open mind and wait to the end and kind of soak it all in, it is a thrilling ride. It is so thrilling, so tense. I could have watched it for another hour. I honestly didn't think it was long enough. I just had no idea what was going to happen during any of it, and I was still so intrigued, even though we kind of lived through it. So it was a very devastating story, but at the same time, just you could not look away, which I think is probably a reflection of society today. So it all, comes full circle. I think that it's a testament to him that I cannot sum up this film very easy, especially it's being spoiler free as well, but it's a testament to his filmmaking that his style is so different and it covers topics in such a unique way that you have to watch it for yourself and find out. But if anything I said sounds interesting to you, please check it out and let me know what you think. I'm so scared of the comments on this one because I know this is going to be so controversial and so dicey. But that is filmmaking, baby, and that's why I love it. And I love being pushed to the edge and feeling very uncomfortable. And that film made me feel uncomfortable in a completely different way than any other film has. So hats off. I'm going to give this one a personal score of 8. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. Maybe a third into it, I was like, okay, I don't know about this. And then as it went on, I think it's going to be stuck in my head for a very long time. I don't think he's steered me wrong yet, and I wouldn't have picked this as a film that I would like to see. But there's something about the way he tells the story so raw, so awkward, and so confronting that I just love that kind of filmmaking. I think it's just very special and very important in modern cinema. For scare, it's, we don't even have to do that today, but I will give it, like, if I had to do the gore stuff, it's pretty intense, but there's not too much of it, so I'll just leave it there. I'm not going to do an actual gore or scare score for this one. And for originality, I would give it a 8. It doesn't feel original because it's something that happened. But, not exactly, but the way it's put together, the idea, and the storytelling is what really sets it apart for me. But thank you guys so much for being here. Again, this is an open place to talk about cinema, and I know, and I do trust you guys. I'm taking a risk by posting this video, not because of what film it is, but because it's really not in our usual genres, but it is disturbing. It definitely has disturbing elements. I've definitely covered films that weren't as disturbing as this. While we're talking about disturbing films, I posted this video about disturbing taboo movies. These ones are really messed up. And I also have done one in the past about just 5 disturbing movies I watched. I went in blind and watched them. And I hope you're having a fantastic day. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye, friends.